Alrighty, y'all, it is time. The second banner of the summer event has officially gone live. I'm loading into the game because my Wi-Fi literally cut out, but Elegg is here. We're gonna do some summons. If we don't get her, we're still gonna test her out and we're gonna see how she's looking. I'm a bit skeptical about this character because obviously after reading her kit, I don't really know how well she's going to perform. I'm kind of expecting an inconsistent character, but we're gonna find out in this showcase. So if you guys enjoyed the first impressions, make sure you guys subscribe and like. And thank you guys so much for, the last video, we ended up getting to 24.9K, and we are like officially less than 100 from 25,000, which is 1/4 of 100,000, which is quite the milestone in my opinion. So subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video. It's gonna be your boy Zxous, and let's get into the summons of Elegg. As you guys see, Elegg is officially here. We have her here. We have two multis, so let's hope for the best, because this is the problem, right? Elegg ended up coming after Dorothy, so like if I had used my multis on Elegg, and you guys see my multis, I got 3 SSRs and 2 multis, I probably would have gotten Elegg and then I would have used my pity on Dorothy. So we're literally just hoping for an SSR here. Let's hope that Elegg comes because she's a limited character. Once I get a limited character, I'm not too worried. Okay, no gold. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not worried. We still have one more multi. Come on, Elegg, come home. Come on, this is my last multi for now. I'll probably have to like buy multis or farm up multis and stuff like that. I have a lot of currency I can farm up actually, so I'll probably farm up multi unless I get a, oh, my mouse got stuck there. No gold. Unless, nah. It'd be like that sometimes. This is the problem, bro, right? If I literally had like, if they dropped Elegg before Dorothy, I would be fine. But we're still gonna showcase her regardless. Let's get into it. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I want Elegg. I want Elegg. So, hey, this is the first time I've spent in quite some time on this game. Come on, Nikke. Let's do it. I just need an SSR. Like, Elegg is so easy to get, realistically, right? Oh my God. But it's getting an SSR that becomes a problem. Come on. Come on, don't tell me I just spent 30 bucks for, 30 bucks for 2 multis. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. 30 bucks for 2 multis is quite crazy. Like, I'm not gonna, that's kind of scam. Please. Oh my God. No, you're not getting another dollar from me, Nikke. Okay, we're gonna showcase her. So unfortunately, we have the, scope lock Elegg here, but let me just refresh you guys' memory on what this character actually does, right? Because her kit is a bit like wonky and difficult to understand. I feel like it's quite simple actually, but most people probably are not gonna understand it, right? So basically her whole gimmick is that you're trying to capture these ghosts that are possessing the enemies, right? She can have a maximum of 13 of these ghosts that she has to capture essentially, and depending on how much of these ghosts she has, she will be literally either stronger or give effects to all allies and stuff like that. So if you take a look at her first skill, it says activates when entering a battle, affects 1 random enemy every 6 seconds, right? A ghost is going to be on an enemy, and essentially you have to attack that enemy that the ghost is on 100 times, and all allies who are also attacking this enemy can help you with that 100 times, so that's good. But once you attack that enemy 100 times, you will then have captured the ghost, right? Again, you can only have a maximum of 13, and the ghost appears every 6 seconds. Now, depending on how many ghosts you actually have captured, water code allies are going to get certain effects, right? If you have at least 1 ghost, water code allies are going to have an attack buff of 16.2% of the caster's attack continuously, so literally the entire game. And then if you have more than 4 ghosts, they're also going to have a damage, a strong element, 35% buff continuously the entire game on top of that 16%. So that first skill is very, very good for water characters. It's really just that good for water characters, right? And then obviously when you use her burst skill, she'll give herself a 40% attack buff. Once you got all 13 ghosts, she's going to deal AoE 1100% of final attack is damage, which is quite crazy because once you get all the ghosts, you call big damage, right? And then depending on how many ghosts you have on her burst skill, she's going to do either more or less damage. If you have literally, I guess what, less than 13, then you're going to deal 800%, but that's going to multiply by 6 times, right? And then you're going to lose 6 of these ghosts. But if you have 13 ghosts, then you're going to deal 800% 13 times and then lose 9 of these ghosts. So it's a bit wonky realistically, but it's not. Let's go in here with this team right here. I think I'm actually going to bring Miss Little Mermaid right now. Like I said, I'm gonna fight a boss, right? I just don't think when it comes to Elegg, she's gonna be wonky because you're never gonna be fully stacked with her burst skill. It's kind of impossible in my opinion, right? Because if the ghost is appearing every 6 seconds, it's going to take you literally more than a minute for this, you know. Look, she already has 1 ghost captured, but now we have to wait 6 seconds for the next ghost to appear. So it's like, it's generally going to take her over a minute realistically to get all 13 ghosts. And if you're using her burst skill where she's losing these ghosts, it's gonna be impossible for you to get 13 ghosts, right? So she's kind of a character that you want to use off of the burst rotation. I want to say she's more of a flex burst 3 unit, right? She's at 3 ghosts right now, but by the time she gets to a 4 ghost, she's gonna use her burst skill. Oh my god, insane. I want to see her damage actually. So we are at 20 million right now with her burst skill. We go from 20 million all the way to, her damage is looking quite crazy. 20 million to what though? To 86 million. Honestly, 20 million to 86 million scope lock is quite good considering Dorothy's at 132 million after 2 full bursts, right? I guess technically Elegg is at 87 after 2 full bursts, but I feel like Elegg is pretty good there. But you guys can see what I'm trying to get at, right? By the time, it's gonna take her so long to fully stack up, right? And the only way I can think that you're gonna fully stack up with this character is if you are, you know, putting her as a flex burst 3, so literally where Helm is on the team, right? She is eventually going to get the 13 stacks because she is never going to be at full like stacks every time you use her burst skill. So boom, she lost, you know, she lost what, 5 ghosts right there. But you can tell like her damage is not bad. I feel like if you give this character what she needs, elemental damage and stuff like that, which she actually does give to you know, all water code allies here, she's gonna be nasty. Like right here when we get 4 ghosts, so right now we have 4 ghosts up. What she's giving Dorothy is a elemental damage buff of 35% continuously, right? And not to mention the attack buff of 16.2% continuously, right? So Dorothy is going from 350 million to what? Right? She's going from 350 million to what because of Elegg's, or not because of Elegg, but with Elegg's help, to 432 million. That's quite big, right? She went almost 100 million over, right? And then again, you guys see we're still over 5 ghosts, so it's realistically you're gonna have this up until, you're never gonna get the 13, right? You're never gonna get the 13 ghosts if you have her as a, you know, burst 2 or like the second burst 3 character. And that's just the reality situation, which means if you never are able to get to 13 ghosts with this character, that means you're never going to be able to proc this effect right here, because it says activates when the ghost is captured while at maximum ghost capacity. You're never going to be able to get that second part of her second skill if you're using her as a main burst 3, right? Is her damage good? Hell yeah. I would say her damage is quite good, right? Considering she has no overload gear, considering this just 10, 10, 10 and all that stuff, scope block, considering all these things, yeah, her damage is 100% good. Like, it's great. But is it worth it? Is she going to be better on field as a burst 3 DPS, or is she going to be better as a flex burst 3 character? And I guess that's what we're going to see after this showcase, right? After this run, we're going to run the exact same team, but rather than, you know, Elegg being a character who's using her burst skill, she is going to be a character who is never using her burst skill, right? Or I don't even want to say she's never going to use her burst skill, but she's kind of in that same boat as Winter Maiden, I would say, right? Winter Maiden is a character that basically once you're fully stacked up with her and you use her ultimate, she'll nuke, right? I think Elegg is going to be the exact same thing as that. But when you use her as a on-field burst 3, I would say it's not as consistent, but it's not too bad when it comes to like the buffs that she's providing for the water team, right? She ended up doing 508 million here, while Dorothy's at like 800 million or whatever. Going to probably be at 900 million by the end of this full burst. We'll see. Let me go to Helm for faster burst generation, right? Because we're getting the burst skill off Elegg. So Elegg is finishing this off, not the full burst, but whatever. She's at, you guys can see the highest that she's going to be able to get to 10 10 10 as a second burst 3 unit on the team is going to be 6, right? And she only ended up getting 582 million, which is like okay, but how good is she if we don't use her as a main burst 3 DPS, right? Let's put her as a flex burst 3 character, right? That way we are going to see her fully stack up anytime. The only thing is now, this is where it becomes inconsistent for me, right? Because if I remember correctly, let me just take a look before we continue. Her second skill, you have to use her burst skill to get that 40% attack buff. So you're kind of in a predicament. You either use her as a burst 3 character and get that 40% when you use her burst skill, or you don't use her as a burst 3 DPS, like on-field burst 3 burst running unit, and then essentially you don't get that 40%, right? And all you're getting in return is a 1,100 like AoE nuke when you get to 13. But my thing is, once you get to 13, then you're going to want to use her burst skill. Like, there's no way you're ever going to want to have this character on your team and you're never using her burst skill. I would say if you're going to use her like this, right, kind of like this is realistically my main team for my Anomaly Interception, right? It's just Ludmilla's there instead of Elegg. I think if you're going to do this, your best bet is probably just getting her to 13, and then when you get to 13, let her second skill go off and then use her burst skill. That way you're kind of maximizing her kit, right? That's realistically the only way, because look at their damage now. When you're not using her burst skill, it's really bad, right? My only thing is it going to be like a situation like Ludmilla, or not Ludmilla, Maiden, where once you're fully stacked, you get compensated a good amount of damage? Like, let's take a look, right? So right now she's at 13, or she's at 12 stacks now. Remember, you have to wait over a minute to get to 13 stacks, which is just not consistent. And this is why I said summon for Dorothy over Elegg, because it's just better. We are fully stacked up on Elegg. Elegg is going to do her AoE now, which I guess she already did it, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if she did it or not. Right, we're at full stacks with Elegg. We're at 119 million. Let's go ahead and use her burst skill. So we've officially used her burst skill. We still have elemental damage increase and all that stuff. But what is it? 190 million to what? To 281 million. I don't feel like it's worth it. I feel like that's so not worth it. I feel like if you're going to use Elegg, it's just probably better to use her as a on-field burst 3 character, because that way she's doing damage. Like, if you give Elegg overload gear and you're using her as a on-field burst 3 DPS, you're going to get a lot of damage out of her. Where in this case, like, you're not really. I mean, maybe you will. I'm not sure. Let's take a look, right? Because now she's at 300 million, right? What did she end up getting? I think she ended up getting like 560 million in the last one or something like that. When she's fully stacked up, that's when you want to use her burst skill. Like, that's the only thing I can think of. When you're fully stacked up with her, use her burst skill. So we cannot use it yet. Next burst rotation, rather than Helm, we'll use her burst skill, right? So now she's at 13 stacks. That's when you want to use her burst skill, right? So just start spamming her button, right? Starts. Okay, so that was that right there. That was that AoE right there. It didn't look like it did too much though, right? But now we used her burst skill. She went down. I think it was 323 million she was at before the full burst. After the full burst, and she goes from what? 320 to basically 500 million. So I don't know. I think it's the same results regardless. I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Does it really matter then if you're using her? Like, if you use her how I'm using her, where you wait for it to get to 13 stacks, then use her burst skill, right? Is it worth it? Is it, like, does it really change anything? Because it looks like her damage is either going to be on par, if not a slight bit higher than what it was the first time, right? So let's take a look and see, right? I think the overall damage was higher this time. It's at 2.3 billion. She ended up getting 536 million. So it's kind of the same, right? It's slightly less. It's slightly less. But realistically, what's the difference, right? I guess the only difference now is that you're technically wasting Helm, I feel like, because I feel like Helm did, I don't even know, surprisingly, I don't remember if Helm did better in the other run, but I'm not sure. I feel like she's a bit of a wonky character, right? I feel like she's a bit of a wonky character. I'm going to screenshot this actually, right? And then I'm going to go back in one more time on the main team, right? This time I'm going to put Ludmilla. No Helm, no none of that, right? Or no, I could keep Helm actually. I'm going to run the exact same team as I did before, right? I'm only running this team to see what we're looking like prior to Or maybe let's test her out with mobs now, right? Let's test her out with mobs. Because remember, in mobs, there's more enemies. So if you do ever fully stack up with her skill 2, that's gonna go crazy against a lot of mobs. But remember, it does take quite some time for it to get there. I don't really feel like her burst skill outside of that is going to do much. Like, I feel like if you're fighting mobs, you don't want her as a... Let me come back to this, right? I cannot see my cursor. Here, let me leave this and come back to this and put her as a, like, flex burst 3 character. Because I don't see the point of using her against mobs as a main burst 3 DPS when she's not really going to be fully stacking, right? Like, it's just no point to me, right? I think if you're going to use her, try to like use her as a flex burst 3 DPS if you're fighting with mobs. I think if you're fighting with bosses, then you can use her as a main burst 3. But in reality, is her damage really changing? Like, not by that much, realistically. It's realistically not by that much from just this comparison. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I don't remember the exact number she got the very first time we did the showcase for her. Like the very first run we did, I don't remember the final number, and I'm not going to remember until after this video. So we'll just have to wait and see. But like, we're not using her burst skill at all, right? That's the only thing though. It takes her over a minute. It takes her over a minute to get 13, right? That's the one thing I made sure to point out before anything, before anybody summit or anything like that. I wanted people to be aware that it's not going to be as consistent you guys think. It was going to take over a minute for this character to be fully stacked up. And then you ask yourself, is it worth it, right? Is it worth it? Because how I see it is nobody in story, right? Like no stages in story is gonna allow her to wait a full-blown minute before she can do her second skill. And then my thing is, okay, even let's say if we do wait a minute, right, and we use her second skill, is that 1100% going to be enough to nuke them, right? Like we've already are past 1 minute in and we're still not even at 13 stacks, right? We're 1 minute, we're past the minute in, but this is the problem with mobs. Now you have to find where the ghost is at, where when it comes to bosses, it's always on that one boss. When it comes to mobs, you literally have to figure out, okay, what mob is the ghost on? So it's I don't know, I feel like she's not gonna be ranked high whatsoever just because of all these little like issues. Realistically, we're in mobs and we're already 2 minutes in and she's still not fully stacked. And that's just because we don't know where the enemy is. We have no idea where the ghost is. Now because there's no enemies on the screen besides this final boss, all the ghost is gonna go to this boss, right? So after 12 seconds, sure, this boss is gonna, you know, but it was like, what was it worth it? Like genuinely, let's ask ourselves this question: was it worth it? Because now, I can't see my cursor and it's starting to bug me. Anyways, like I was saying, like look at this. It's not gonna be good. It's not consistent, and I knew this. I knew it was never gonna be consistent. I knew it was not gonna be consistent the moment I realized that it's every 6 seconds this is happening. Wait, is that happening all the time though? Because it looked like that boom effect just happened twice. So is that happening every 6 seconds? Excuse me? Hold on, let's see. 219? 219 to what? Okay, wait. Now, this is new info. So, okay. Long. It's gonna take her too long. So, like, I'm not gonna lie. Being able to spam that second part 1100 final attack as damage every 6 seconds because a ghost is reapplying every 6 seconds, that's great. It's fantastic. But you have to remember, it's already going to take her over a minute. Guaranteed, minimum over a minute to get to 13 stacks. You have to remember this. It's going to take her over a minute, right? Now, in most of the content in the game, where you have mobs and stuff like that, you have to ask yourself, are you going to be fighting mobs for over a minute? Like realistically, no, you're not. Like, I'm just gonna be honest with this character. It's a niche. She's a niche character, and this is what I was trying to explain to anybody before they sum for her. So much people said they were gonna sum for Elegg over Dorothy because they feel like Elegg is going to be better than Dorothy, and it was just like, no, it was obvious that this was going to be her biggest issue, right? The time. Because now as a flex burst 3 character, if I don't use her burst skill at all, right, I have the second AoE whatever, but the damage is just not worth it. Like after 3 minutes to get less than 300 million is crazy. I can use her burst skill right here. Boom. Right? That probably pushed it up by a lot. No, it didn't. I didn't even get it off in time. But still, like, you guys kind of get what I'm getting at, right? I'm gonna have more showcases with this character. I definitely want to try out with overload gear because I am impressed with her actual damage as a on field burst 3 character, but as a sub flex burst 3 DPS character, I feel like the niche is just too much to handle, right? It's way too much to handle because it's like it's I don't know, it's against mobs, it's gonna take you too long to fully stack. There's nothing you can do about it, right? Even if you were to kill the enemy that the ghost is on, you have to wait 6 seconds. There's no way of making that go quicker, right? So the Elegg is just, it's gonna be an issue. I can already see it's gonna be a problem, and I can already see that it's just, she's not going to be ranked too high. I already, off first impressions, don't think I would rank her too high because the niche is just too grave, right? But I want to try her out with overload gear. I want to see what her damage is looking like. I want to try her out with all these little things. But for now, first impression, I kind of, what I was expecting is what I got. That's what I'm going to be honest with you guys. I wasn't expecting her to be too crazy. And that's what I'm like feeling. She's just not too crazy. But you guys let me know what you think down below. Hopefully the showcase was helpful and not entertaining, but kind of like insightful, right? Because a lot of people wouldn't have realized a lot of these things until they have tested her out, right? Where again, I have been saying this for literally the last week, so it is what it is. But subscribe and like. Let's try to get to 25,000 subscribers. Let me know if you guys send me for Elegg. I'm still gonna get her because she's limited, and I feel like she can be very useful, right? She can 100% be very useful, and I'm gonna show you guys that in. Oh, sorry for hitting guys. I'm gonna show you guys that in upcoming videos. But for now, it's your boy Zxous. I'm out. Peace.